Hi, this is Kerwin Gaines on the agenda this week. We are talking to none other than Representative Sherry Dorsey Walker from the 3rd District. Welcome, Representative Walker.
Thank you for having me. It's to
I am
be
excited. This is
us.
the second. This is the second time this week that we've had great announcements necessary, and folks are choosing to give those announcements right here on the agenda. So we're excited, and I don't want to stand in the way of yours.
Well, on Juneteenth, I officially announced my candidacy for Lieutenant Governor for the state of Delaware. So I'm super excited about that. And I'll just give you a little
Outstanding.
background. Yes, I'll give you a little background on why I chose Juneteenth. Juneteenth is Actually, I worked with Senator Darius Brown to create House Bill 119, and that is the bill that makes Juneteenth a permanent paid state holiday. And then we chose the Congo Legacy, I chose the Congo Legacy Center with my team because when we did the actual bill signing for Juneteenth, the interesting part of it is Grandma Opal Lee had actually come to Delaware and we did the bill signing at the Congo Legacy Center. So I partnered with President of City Council Trippy Congo and Nudie Felton, and it ended up being a great day, a wonderful historical moment in Black history, and a great way to honor our ancestors.
I love it. I love it. So, I mean, what has made you take this leap, so to speak? I mean, you've already leaped into politics, you've leaped into business. Why leap into the lieutenant governor race?
Outstanding question. In 2016, I ran for lieutenant governor and came up just a little short. And I ultimately ended up on the Board of Parole, currently serving as a state representative in the 3rd District, of which I'm very proud. I'm in my 3rd term now. And having served on the Board of Parole and having been in the House and previously serving on the Wilmington City Council, I just feel like my steps are ordered. And this is the next step. It's the next opportunity to be of service to the people of Delaware.
I'm excited about that. So I know nothing is done without a plan, right? So I know that you have a plan and you're in the lieutenant governor race. And once you are successful, what do you plan to bring to the citizens of the state of Delaware? What are going to be some of the initiatives that you will earmark?
Wonderful, wonderful question. I mentioned having previously served on the Board of Parole, and the Lieutenant Governor presides over the Senate, but also chairs the Board of Pardons. And this will be an opportunity to give people a second chance. Second chances through agriculture, second chances through economic opportunities, and also access to quality housing and access to voting rights. It's interesting that in 2023, we're still talking about voting rights. We thought we took care of this and with the Voting Rights Act of 1964 before we were born. However, we're still working to ensure that people who look like us and people who look like us, Black and brown, still have access to voting because we know that voting is power. And power is the opportunity to be a blessing to others.
Absolutely, absolutely. And so, we go throughout the state with our broadcast. What would you like to tell some of the folks that, I mean, a lot of people in Newcastle County have seen you out and about and doing things and the wonderful job that you do in the 3rd District, but there are several other districts throughout the state. They may not have seen you as a representative in the House. What would you tell folks that are down in Sussex County, that are down in Kent County, that do not know you about you?
Well, first, I have to say thank you to the people in Kent and Sussex counties because upon working on House Bill 198, and that was the bill that added Black history to the state's curriculum, we had a consortium of people up and down the state who helped us with it, from Selbyville to as far north as Claymont. So I'd say thank you. And then in 2016, I had the opportunity to really get to know our family in Sussex and in Kent, and those with whom I have not already interacted. I shall say to you, be on the lookout because I'll be in your area and make it my business to get to know you and you get to know me because I like to look at people in the state of Delaware as family. Yes, they're my constituents, but I also, and people in the third district will tell you, she's family to us. And that's the way I like to govern. I like people to look at me as an extension of their family.
I love that. And, with family comes character. And are you expecting a lot of opposition to your run for lieutenant governor?
I'm going to tell you what I tell everyone else. I shall run my race with endurance. I won't look left. I won't look right. I'm definitely pressing toward the mark for the prize of the high calling.
I love it, and we're excited about that. Let's roll it back a little bit to state government. As always, with the level of integrity that you have shown throughout your tenure as a representative, you have something now that's representing rental rights. You have legislation that is currently going through the cycles. Tell us a little bit about that.
That is HS1 for House Bill 191. And that particular bill creates escrow account for renters. And some may ask, well, what is escrow and how does that work? With this particular bill, what will ultimately happen, and I'd like to just put this disclaimer out there. The vast majority of landlords throughout the state, they are really good landlords. But there's a percentage of landlords who have been taking advantage of our constituents from Sussex County, Kent County, all the way up to Newcastle County. And what this bill will do is deter some of these bad actors who are among the landlords. If a landlord does not fix a problem within 30 days, then the rent goes into an escrow account. If the landlord still does not fix the problem within 60 days, the rent will go into escrow. The landlord still doesn't fix the problem within 90 days, then the rent goes into escrow. But on that 91st day, all of that rent that's in escrow will now go back to our constituents. You see, what we have done with this particular piece of legislation is put a situation where we can empower the renter. This is bad actors have existed among landlords. Again, I'll say the vast majority are good landlords, but for those who are not, let's ensure that our constituents don't have to live in squalor. They don't have to live in situations where they don't have quality housing. And this particular piece of legislation prohibits landlords from not fixing these problems. So, what it does is it really empowers our constituency. And ultimately, we know things come down to economics. So, economically, if someone is affected, they tend to do the right thing.
There's nothing like an incentive, I always say, right? We have an incentive for decency. Unfortunately, sometimes that's required, and unfortunately, it's required amongst landlords. But when they have that incentive or penalty, some people may call it, in regards to doing the right thing, it's amazing how people come along and tend to do the right thing. So I think that that's awesome. What feedback, like what stemmed this? Was it because of the incident that happened? I believe it was last year or the year before in Wilmington, where several folks were affected due to landlord negligence, or was there something? Were you just receiving that many calls from folks and people reaching out to you saying, "Hey, I'm being railroaded by my landlord"?
Combination of the two. What happened at 8th and Adams was egregious. And there's no other word for it. You had people who they went to work and came home and they had signs on their doors saying, your place is uninhabitable. And that was such an unfortunate dynamic. However, upon putting this legislation together and working cohesively with other people throughout the state, we started finding out, and my legislative aide, Tiffany Cade, and I started getting calls from people in Sussex County, people in Kent County, and people throughout Newcastle County saying, oh my goodness, this is what has happened to me. I'm in this situation. And so now where we are is we're in a situation where we can empower our constituents. And it's nothing like people who feel like they have a say in their fate. And so, yes, Ethan Adams did spur this, but then upon establishing this piece of legislation and working on it, finding out that there are people all throughout the state who are going through the same dynamic. And so now we'll be able to prayerfully on Tuesday give them some reprieve.
That's excellent. That's excellent. So I also have to ask you, I mean, Delaware is a small place. Our politics are even smaller, right? We know everyone. What are your thoughts on two things? That's the retirement announcement from Senator Carper and the announcement from Lisa Blunt Rochester, our representative in Washington, about her run for his seat for Senate.
I think her run is historic. I'm super excited. She's a member of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated, my sister in the struggle. And so I'm just excited about this opportunity that is presented historically for people who look like us. And these kind of opportunities did escape our community. And now we're in an opportunity where we can really propel our own into these positions. But it's bigger than
Yeah,
just the content, this the color of one's skin. It's also the content of the character. And to be able to have people of great character on the ballot, this is really an exciting time.
it is exciting time for Delaware. We're excited to know that there's going to be at least one more person of character. I'm sure there'll be several more on the ballot for lieutenant governor this year. Again, reaching out to folks, I want to give you another opportunity. What would you tell people that are in the ballot box, and they're making their decision in a ballot booth, excuse me, and they see your name? What is it that you would like for them to know?
The greatest thing that I would like for people to know is I'm a woman of integrity. I'm a woman of faith. I'm unapologetic about my faith. I'm unapologetic about who I am as a Black woman. But I'm also empathetic to situations that exist throughout our state, again, as it pertains to voting rights and housing and equity and opportunities. I am an ally of the LGBTQ plus community. I am an ally of the disabilities community. And most importantly, I am a friend to those throughout the state of Delaware. As I mentioned earlier, I like to look at my constituents as family, and you'll be voting for someone who is a member of your family, someone who cares about you, and someone who will listen to your concerns and work feverishly to ensure that we get solutions, amicable solutions to problems.
I love it. I love it. And what are the big happenings going on in the third district?
The third district is an amazing place to live, play, work. And what's happening right now, we're in the process of Be Ready CDC is building housing. The Latin American Community Center just opened an early childhood center. We have so many great opportunities. We have murals going up in our community that are being the murals are created by members of the third district. The beauty of what's happening in the third district is people from the third district are helping to rebuild our community. And then we also shall be building a vertical farm in the third district because we cannot build out due to the fact that we are landlocked. We can build up. And just the fact that we'll be able to make people healthier and people will be able to have access to fresh fruits and vegetables right here in the third district. And of course, my love for agriculture and being able to share that love with the state of Delaware is just and ag is our number one industry in the state of
It is, and
Delaware.
people tend to forget that. It is our number one industry, and an industry that deserves to be supported and understood. And sometimes it seems as though, unless you cross the canal, some of those ideals are forgotten. So I know that the agricultural community is excited to know that there is someone that is going to be possibly filling the seat as lieutenant governor that understands their rights, understands how necessary it is to the state of Delaware because of their impact to our economy.
Absolutely. And we just passed another piece of legislation, just really quickly, that's going to benefit people all throughout the state. And that particular bill, SS1 for SB 83, partnered with Senator Brown. And I did not mention that for the escrow account bill that I partnered with Senator Marie on that one. The SB 83 with this particular bill is now we have opportunities for banks and credit unions to come into the state of Delaware and to ensure that they are focusing on low and moderate income communities. So the unbanked can finally have access to banking and they don't have
I
to
love
go
that term
to
that you said there. Sorry to cut
stores.
you off. The unbanked.
Mhm.
Tell us a
The
little.
unbanked.
Who is the unbanked? Who are the
The
unbanked?
unbanked. The unbanked tend to be low income Caucasians and people of color. And so now what we can do is ensure that everyone has access to banking.
I love that. I love that. And it's true economic power, that so often that the socioeconomic folks with socioeconomic deficits are forgotten about, and understanding that the importance of banking and being able to move and transact money without penalty and ease is important to thrusting people into the middle class. So I'm excited about that legislation. I'm excited that people understand it in Dover, and that they're working towards equality and equity in regards to financial services here in the state of Delaware.
Yes, and it passed both chambers unanimously. We- So it's super exciting because the only individuals who did not vote were the ones who were absent. Everyone voted yes
Oh,
for it,
great.
those who were present.
Oh, that is awesome.
Yes,
That is awesome. That's a
yes,
good news story from down in Dover.
yes,
So
yes.
often we hear stories on our major media networks about the lack of dual partisanship in getting legislation passed, especially when it comes to helping people, right? The same folks
Yes,
that got them into
yes,
the office are the ones that are easily
right.
forgotten when it comes to legislation dealing with financial services or something that has big numbers than represents the 1%. So I'm very excited to know that down in Dover, we are not forgetting the small person, right? The little guy that's out there. And that's, hey, that's frankly me. So I'm excited to know that folks in Dover are still keeping us in mind.
I must say this though, I don't look at any individual as a little person. I think everyone is a big individual in their own right and in their own way. And even if we have a difference of opinion, we don't have to be disagreeable. And I like to pride myself on being able to work across the aisle, working with the Democrats and Republicans, because that's what it takes. It takes all of us to ensure that we have a better Delaware. And that's why I'm running for lieutenant governor, to ensure that every single person, whether you agree with my ideology or not, that you have a voice and that I shall listen to you. And we can work together because together we rise.
I love it. On that note, we're going to end it. Hey, is there a website or some place that people can go to? Is there Facebook, social media? Tell us about it. How can we get in contact with you and your campaign?
Absolutely. People can go to Dorsey Walker, Dorsey, Walker, FORDE.com. That's the website. You can go on that website, donate, volunteer, purchase your t-shirts. You can, and my social media is Sherry Dorsey Walker on Facebook, at Sherry Dorsey Walker on Instagram, at Sherry Dorsey Walker on LinkedIn, and on Twitter at Sherry Dorsey DE.
Excited. Representative Walker, it's always a pleasure for you to be here on the agenda. We hope that it's not another year or so before you're on. We hope that you can come on again and talk to us about what's
Absolutely.
going on down in Dover, and brief us on your race and reach out to your constituents. So we look forward to having you again right here on the agenda. And for you, the viewer, we look forward to seeing you next week right here on the agenda.